Well, Jamie, how's pre-season been for the lads?
Yeah, it's been a good one. Obviously, a lot of new faces that have come into the group, so I think the most important thing for us was to get them gelling quickly, but that's happened. They've worked extremely hard. We've had some good sessions, some great games, some good tests against some conference national sides. So we're happy with everything that's happened so far. So
Was
all
that
good.
was that planned by the management to have an overhaul of the squad?
We came in kind of end of August last year, so we inherited a lot. We obviously had a full season to assess what we had. We kind of looked at it and said we had to bring in a few more men. We had to bring in a few more players that were going to be a bit more consistent than what we had last year. So we identified quite early on a number of positions, a number of players that we had targeted, and as you saw, we've done our work quite early, got them in. And yeah, that was the plan, to sort of hit the ground running pre-season, work with the boys that we had brought in, and come out of a new side that hopefully will be a lot better.
Has that helped getting all the business done early, where you're not having to, at this stage of the pre-season, still call round and try and get players signed up?
It does, from the aspect of being able to work with them in training. I think if you look back at kind of how we've operated, we haven't had a huge turnover of players over the years. So what's that's meant is when we come back into pre-season, the boys kind of know our ideas, they know what we're about, they know what we need, they know our expectations, our standards. This year it was about getting them in early, so we could actually do a lot of that work in pre-season. So we have worked hard, but we've done a lot more work in terms of how we want to be, how we want to play, etc. So that's probably been a lot of the focus on why we had to get these boys in a lot earlier.
Do you think you've identified strengths and weaknesses from last season where the side can improve, and certainly where the side you want to keep at that level?
Consistency. Last year we were brilliant at times, then other times disappointing. So consistency is definitely the big one, and I touched on it before. We just needed a few more men in there, men that could go out there and play with a bit more heart. And we have a saying, between us, that you judge players when the going gets tough, when everything's all right, when we're doing well. It's easy to come out and put in a performance, but when the crowd's digging you out a bit, when things are a bit tougher, can you still dig in and put in a performance? So we needed characters that are going to be able to do that, and that's probably a big thing.
And how's the management team this season? Obviously, you've worked with Bobby and Mike a while now.
No, we're all good. Had a lovely break. Obviously, getting all the stuff done early allowed us to have a couple of weeks off before we come back. We've come back, and in terms of the manager, he is very, very focused. I think that's why you're seeing me today. I think in terms of a lot of the noise that goes on around the club, I think you can be easily distracted, and maybe there's a bit of that last year. However, he's come back this year more determined than ever to make sure that no stones unturned, that he's going to do everything he can to make sure this club's successful. So yeah, as I say, he's just been razor focused on what he's got to do, and just cutting out the noise and distractions of what can happen at this club.
You mentioned that 2 weeks off, getting the business done early. Is that R&R helped? Because there was times last season where it seemed like it got quite hectic, particularly towards the end of last season when we were playing like 10 games in 3 weeks, something silly like that, whatever it was.
Yeah, it does. I think it's important that at the end of the season you do rest. The reality is semi-pro football, non-league football, it's a full-time business at the end of the day at the level that we play out. So we may be part-time, but we work full time, so getting some rest is obviously important. In anything, you need to recharge your batteries. You need to go away, assess, and come back with the energy. And that's what I've talked about. We've come back, really pumped up about what we've got to do, ready to go.
And what's the targets for this season then?
Again, it's going to sound very boring, but we're not going to come out here and talk about any specific targets. We know what we need to do. Sorry guys, I'm not going to excite you. We've setting a bar, but we're going to take it game by game, week by week, the old cliche. But it's important. We'll assess things as we go along. But for us, it's about August the 4th. Come out. Can we do well against Western? Then we go to Hungerford on Tuesday night. So right now, it's just about that first week, hitting the ground running, and just building momentum. When you build momentum in this league, then you tend to do quite well. So for us, it is just about keeping momentum and building that. So we're not going to come out and talk about any ridiculous targets. We will give everything, and we'll finish as high as we can.
Cheers for your time, Jamie.
Right.
Thank you.
Cheers, Chris.